I got into a different kind of entanglement.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship, absolutely.
Pop Psych, and here's why. It stands for popular psychology, and through YouTube, I will become popular, and I'll be a popular psychologist. I'm David Colarosi. No, it's Dr. David Colarosi. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy and a PhD in counseling psychology.
You are such a genius.
So this was an interesting week for Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. In an interview with Angela Yee, August Alsina noted that he had had a long-term relationship with Jada about 4.5 years ago. He professed his love for her and noted that he can now die because he knows that he's really felt true love. So as you can imagine, the Twitter world was shocked to hear this. The Smiths have been together since, I believe, 1997, and there has long been suspicions that they have an open relationship, but it's never been confirmed in this way. So in reaction to this, Jada had Will on to her Red Table Talk program, and the two of them discussed the relationship with August. Jada said that she had had an entanglement with August. Will gave her a hard time and said that he knew about it. He also said that he was planning on getting her back, to which Jada responded, I think you already did that. So while the two of them haven't confirmed that they have an open relationship, clearly it has been open for periods of time, and I don't know what the ongoing status is. But it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. First, people are shocked to see that this supposedly healthy marriage has these kind of non-monogamous cracks in it, and there has been growing interest in non-monogamy. So researchers say that about 5 to 7% of the US population defines themselves as non-monogamous, meaning they have some kind of open relationship. And that definition spans a one-off threesome to ongoing polyamorous relationships. So the first thing you have to understand is that the data around non-monogamy versus monogamy is terrible. Most people are uncomfortable sharing the status of their relationships. Even in an online survey, people will shy away from saying that they are in an open relationship. Second, the folks that do identify as non-monogamous are typically in their 20s or their 30s. They're typically white, they're typically highly educated, and they're typically upper middle class. So you're really looking at a very small segment of our population that openly shares or identifies as non-monogamous. And perhaps the most significant issue is that all of the research, at least the research that I could find, is cross-sectional in nature. We are looking at this 20-year-old, this 30-year-old, this 40-year-old, and asking them, how satisfied are you in your relationship? What we're not doing is tracking a 25-year-old and saying, how's your relationship now that you're 30? How's your relationship now that you're 35, right? If we got that kind of data, we could really see, well, what's the impact of being in a monogamous relationship versus a non-monogamous relationship? So putting that all on the shelf, there's a couple things that we do know. First, millennials in particular, but our society as a whole, is really moving towards this idea of non-monogamy. I did a quick Google search and OkCupid came up and shared that most people that sign up for OkCupid identify as someone who wants to be in a long-term non-monogamous relationship. So that's a unique platform. Sure, people are typically younger. Sure, people are not in relationships when they're on that platform. But there are a lot of people saying, I'd be okay with being in an open marriage or an open relationship. Second, the data that we do have shows pretty clearly that satisfaction in a monogamous relationship is the same as satisfaction in a non-monogamous relationship. You are no more likely to be satisfied in one or the other. If you have a relationship in which one party wants to be non-monogamous and the other party wants to be monogamous, then you've got a real problem. That friction there creates a big challenge, and if people step outside of the relationship or people are pushed to step outside of the relationship, it creates a major challenge. But that seems pretty obvious to me. So what makes a non-monogamous relationship work? Proponents of non-monogamy will say, these are the best kinds of relationships, they're the most open, we're the most able to talk about our emotions, we're the most able to go there, because you're forced to share your feelings, share your sexual fantasies, right? There's an increased level of transparency. I personally think that that's bullshit. You need to be communicative whether or not you're in a monogamous or non-monogamous relationship, and the quality of your relationship in many ways is dependent on that communication. The idea that you artificially insert a challenge in your relationship to force you to communicate and that somehow makes it healthier seems stupid to me. That's like saying, I'm going to start drinking so that my wife has an issue with it and then she can talk to me about her issue, right? That doesn't make any sense at all. What I think is, if you want to be in a non-monogamous relationship, you're best off starting your relationship that way. If you start off and both people are open to the open relationship and you have your relationship grow that way, you have a better shot at your relationship growing more naturally. If you have a typical relationship and then you go, let's try non-monogamy, I think you risk changing your relationship dynamic significantly and derailing things. I guarantee you what will happen is you will feel excited and energized by this new thing that's happening in your relationship. The sex will become powerful, you will begin to feel lust, and that's exciting. But the question is, are you really evolving in a positive way your long-term relationship? To me, that seems very unlikely. Think back to when you were in high school, when you were in college, and you first started dating people. Initially, you were very excited about that relationship, you were consumed about that relationship, and you may even think now, man, I wish I could go back to that initial feeling. Well, you can open up your relationship, start dating new people, and you will feel that feeling again. But what you're feeling there is lust. You're not feeling a deeper connection with your partner, right? We have to be really clear about what we're feeling, what we're not feeling, and I think chasing that emotion of lust or chasing the excitement that comes with lust really in the end can lead to a derailed relationship if the relationship isn't structured around that initially. And the last thing I'll say, and I really do feel strongly about this, if your relationship is not doing well, the answer is never going to be to open up your relationship. Opening up your relationship will distract you, it will excite you, but in the long run, it will take you further and further and further away from your partner, especially if you're not starting off on solid footing. I think it makes a lot more sense to go to therapy, start doing weekly date nights, spend more time together, work on those 5 love languages, increase your communication, all of those things which will bring you closer together. Adding a new variable is not going to be the right solution. So here's my question for you. If you're in a healthy, monogamous relationship and you've been that way for a long time and the relationship works, you have all the blocks in place to make non-monogamy work, why would you risk it? Why would you try something new that you know can threaten the health of your relationship? You are risking everything in pursuit of this one moment of sexual satisfaction. I want to feel good for 1 second, and I'm going to risk everything I have built with my partner. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't really work out. But I'm curious what you think. Hope that was interesting. Oh, like and subscribe.